Hi again, I'm Ellen and I'm Psychologies Eco-Living Editor, and today is World Oceans Day, so we've got a series of live videos with experts, authors and brands in the sustainability field. And this morning I was chatting to the founder of 1 Million Women, and next up I'm going to be talking to Andrew Thomas, who's the founder of BetterYou. I can see he's just asked to join, so I'm just going to hi to everyone who's joining in. It's great to see so many people. So Andrew should be with us any second now.
Aha.
And there he is. Hi.
Hi, Ellen. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good. Very good.
Good. So I thought to start off, you could basically summarize what BetterYou is and also what your Better Planet project is.
Okay. So BetterYou is a nutritional health company. We specialize in supplements, particularly those nutrients, the vitamins and minerals that are underrepresented or simply omitted through modern diets and lifestyles. But we specialize in a particular area, which is supplements which are alternatives to tablets and capsules for the growing number of people who would prefer to take a non-tablet supplement, or those who can't, for example, those who've got malabsorption issues.
Okay.
So that's BetterYou. We've been going for the last 14 years. The Better Planet project is something that's been going for 2 years, I guess. BetterYou has always had a conscience. So when I started the company all those years ago, we've always, for example, been against the use of palm oil. Not that I need to eradicate palm oil, but I just hate the insidious nature of palm oil, how it impregnates our lives. 50% of all our food or cosmetic products contain palm oil, yet it's not a conscious decision of purchase. So none of our products have ever had palm oil. And actually, recently we did a forensic analysis of our ingredients, and those that we believe were palm oil free or are palm oil free actually had derivatives in them at some point. So we actually had to review every ingredient to make sure that none of our formulations had palm oil derivatives in them as well. So we take this very, very seriously. But I think my moment, and when the Better Planet project first gained a presence, was an evening I shared with millions of people, and it was the Blue Planet evening. Yeah, and I think it was
You're not
series.
alone there.
Yeah, I think it was series 2, episode 7, and I watched that, and afterwards I sat and I was consumed by guilt. I'll be honest with you, and it was just the thought of knowing that we contribute to the carbon footprint of this planet. Yet I don't spend every day. I didn't spend every day at the time working out ways of how we can make it better. So, as is often the way of business owners, I think that night I sat down and wrote a paper, which I then shared with the team at work. And that was the start of the Better Planet project. Well, and it obviously the first port of call was our packaging.
Mm-hmm. And so you now use plant-based plastics and ocean recycled plastics, is that right?
That's right.
How did you kind of go through the process of coming to that as the best option, and what actually are they as well for people who might not know?
No, I guess it's a fair question. So, I mean, the size of the plastics problem is massive. So there's not going to be one single solution to this. And we looked at our packaging and we knew that plastic was essential for the delivery of our supplements. And, it's not going to go away. And I think to make plastic the pariah, it is wrong. It's how we use plastic. That's the problem. And it's our mistaken belief that plastic has no life outside of its initial use. Plastic is not just packaging. Plastic is part of the product. So we looked at alternatives first. We look at glass, for example. I love glass, highly recyclable, but from an environmental point of view, very, very costly to manufacture. The carbon footprint is quite large for the initial manufacture. And then if you look at somewhere between a third and half our products are sent abroad, overseas. Sending glass away, obviously that it's about 6 times heavier. It needs extra packaging to protect it. It wasn't a viable option. So we looked at plastic, and then we thought, okay, well, what are the alternatives to virgin plastics from fossil fuels? And that's what we've got to understand, is that virgin plastic from ethanol made from fossil fuels is a major contaminant. So there are other options. The first is to look at plant-based. So this is deriving ethanol from sugarcane. Now, this is fantastic because this is ethanol production that has a carbon negative element. So it actually absorbs more CO2 in the growth of the sugarcane than it is expelled when during production or even during transportation. So the Carbon Trust have actually analysed this, and it's carbon negative. So as a new source of plastic, it's identical to virgin plastic from fossil fuels. It's perfect. So half our product range actually uses sugarcane plastic, and that's denoted by a logo called I'm Green on the packaging. The other half of our product range actually uses plastic derived from ocean reclaimed plastic. And this is really interesting. Now, this is something that has become a real science. And as a bit of a geek, I fell in love with this. And there's some very, very clever technicians. And we use a scientific group based in Copenhagen in Denmark. And they've worked very, very hard in this area. It used to be plastic was reclaimed by small fishing communities, which I thought was amazing. But the size of the problem, with whatever 12 million tons of plastic put into the seas every year, soon became industrial in its size. And now there are far more larger reclamation mediums used. In fact, most of the Earth's ocean plastic pollution comes from around about 10 primary rivers. You isolate those rivers and you can stem the flow going into the oceans. And I think that is being done now, but there's still a massive amount in the oceans. And if allowed to continue, I think the size is going to be, the weight of the plastic is going to exceed the weight of the fish in the ocean. So clearly something has to be done. So I fell in love with this idea. And it's quite interesting. This is about 2 years ago, we were looking at this. In fact, I've got something for you. This is what, I don't know whether this comes across very well, but this is as white as ocean plastic can get, or used to be able to get. Now, most people would say, well, what does it matter? It's just aesthetics. Surely you're reclaiming plastic from the sea. But for this solution to be a true solution, it's got to be commercially viable. And for it to be commercially viable, it's got to be wanted by manufacturers and by brands, and it's got to be wanted and used by consumers. And so we worked very hard with our scientific team, and this is ocean waste plastic now. So you can see, I'll just hold them both up, the difference. And this is the addition of post-consumer waste. So this is the waste that our consumers leave out for the bin man or local authorities to pick up, and also an addition of, ironically, nutritional antioxidants. So it deoxifies the plastic to make it as white as that. And it's important. Yes, it is aesthetics, but that plastic now is no different from fossil fueled virgin plastic, and that's really, really important.
Okay. Yeah. Do you know what countries the plastic comes from that you're using in your packaging, or is it from different oceans across the world?
Yeah, it's predominantly Southern Asia, to be honest. Okay. I mean, a lot of our plastic comes from Jakarta, Java Sea, around that area. But there's the Indian Ocean is a massive source of plastics. There is so much to go at. We're focused on one area. So our plastic comes predominantly from Jakarta and the Java Sea, but there are other plastic technology reclaimants now, and there are many of them. And I think as demand is growing, so the price is being driven down, and it becomes more and more of a commercial opportunity. But it's been a costly initiative for BetterYou. Hundreds of thousands of pounds we've spent on this, and many man hours. And I have to really commend our team here who've taken on the challenge, and we live and breathe this now. But of course, it's not just the plastic. It's also the outer cartons as well. So all our cardboard is recycled. So we only use recycled card or recycled paper, and obviously it comes from Forestry Stewardship Commission forests. So that's just the start. As I say, it then permeates through all our suppliers and the provenance of all the ingredients. Something else, I know it's World Ocean Day, and something that it links quite neatly is actually vitamin D. So the source of our cholecalciferol, our vitamin D, traditionally is from lanolin. It's from sheep's wool. It's a very good source of vitamin D. When I first developed our vitamin D product 9-10 years ago now, being Welsh, I was trying to use sheep that only graze on the Preseli Mountains, which it didn't last long. You've got to have a commercial appetite, and there wasn't any from the farmers then. So our vitamin D comes predominantly from sheep in Spain and Australia now. But just recently, when we've moved into vegan vitamin D, we've managed to source cholecalciferol, so D3, but from an algae source, and that's actually farmed off the coast of Norway. And so now it's quite nice when the provenance of our ingredients, which used to be predominantly land sourced, are now sea and ocean sourced.
Oh, that's interesting. Why, like you said, that it's cost you a lot of money to do these kind of things. If you were talking to another business owner, what's kind of some tips you'd give to start something that's as big as that, to making your business?
Ignorance is always a good starting point, because you don't quite know how big it is. So you start off with thinking, yeah, we can do this, and then you realize how hard it is. But if I was talking to any business owner, I'd say your consumers dictate this. All our customers expect us to do this. I mean, we're in an industry, and we're very lucky to be in a very generous industry with very astute, educated individuals. A lot of industries aren't as lucky, and our customers expect us to do something like this. And I think you'd have to have no moral compass as a company to not see the need to do something to reduce the carbon footprint that every commercial organization generates. And, you just have to lift the lid to see how big the problem is in your own organization. I mean, we're amazed at how inefficient some of our processes are. And we're working really, really hard, both ourselves and our supply chain, to make sure that we're, every little area that we're doing better and better and better at giving something back to the environment.
I think you're definitely right that it's consumers. Consumers are definitely dictating it. There's a lot more demand for it now, and I think that is going to make other businesses step up and follow suit.
No, absolutely, and it's it is down to commercial businesses like ourselves. The consumer has a choice, and rightly so, and they will vote with their wallets. But often the decisions that we make, I go back to palm oil, are often made for us, and the communication of those decisions are pretty poor on packaging. There are some very, very good ethical brands out there, exceptional brands, and there are some pretty poor ones as well. And it's very difficult to know the difference between their products sometimes. I think you look at a product and pick it up. How do you really know about the provenance of those ingredients? And it's not really just about whether they give, a percentage to charities. It's really about how they think. And I think you've got to get under the skin of a brand. And consumers are pretty good at that. more so now that digitally we're all much more vulnerable and available to consumers to ask questions. And consumers do. Our customers certainly ask us questions, and very telling questions, and thank goodness they do. And I think that will permeate through all industry.
Yeah. What do you think are some things that consumers can look out for if they're not quite sure where to start on packaging and kind of questions to ask?
I mean, there's always the telling signs, organic, fair trade. Those are pretty important. 1% for the planet, living wage. All these are very, very good symbols. We subscribe to Planet Mark, where our environmental footprint is measured by a third party, and we have to improve every year. But also, palm oil free. There's an international body that actually checks companies whether they are palm oil free. But of course, the companies have to put themselves up for scrutiny, and some companies don't. I would urge customers just to ask the question. Go onto the website and see what that customer that brand is doing, what they're prepared to tell you. And if you're not happy, phone them up. See if they're willing to talk to you. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, I think whether they're willing to ask the questions is telling in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. It's scary for a brand, a commercial organisation to inwardly look at yourself, because there's no such thing as perfection. And BetterYou is far from it. But it's that first step. It's having the guts to lift the lid and say, right, how are we doing things? Can we do it better? And as I say, it started with me, as it does with all leaders, but then it soon gets arms and legs, and it's beyond me now. I mean, my team live and breathe this, and they pick me up on certain things. This has become all consuming, and it's wonderful. I think organizations actually need not only a challenge, but they need a goal. And it's not just profit. It's not just money. It's more than that. And money is not actually very exciting. It's making a difference. And that's what people get out of bed for. And our products have made a difference. And we're very, very proud of what we've done. All of a sudden now we can see there's another goal, which is actually really hard. And you can't let up. Every day there's something else we're finding. Every day we can do better. New suppliers come on board. We now have an audit trail that we can look at. We know how to audit them. And that's really, really important for us.
And I was reading on your website that you've also been campaigning around the current UK recycling system and how that's kind of maybe not as easy as it could be for people.
That's a really good point. I think it's the Ellen MacArthur Foundation who talks about the cyclical economy. And companies are only as good as what they produce. At the end of the day, it's then down to the consumer and how they dispose of the plastic. And the local authority collection protocol in this country is laughable, to be perfectly honest. Every local authority has a different standard. I'm Welsh originally, and the Pembrokeshire local authority is exceptional. I think every household has about 7 recycling bins or bags or boxes, and it's very clear instructions as to how to recycle. It's actually the front page on the local authority's website. Other authorities are deplorable. It's awful, and there are people saying, well, I actually don't know which plastics to recycle because my authority doesn't take them all. Now, every plastic is recyclable. Every plastic is recyclable. Some are harder to do than others, granted. But my team and I have been around lots and lots of plastic recycling companies in our area, and I've learned a tremendous amount. And what we would love to see is a unified recycling approach where all authorities are monitored independently, and every authority offers full recycling for all plastics. See, consumers don't have to think. That's the problem. When the public have to think, what plastic is this? Is this HDPE? Is it LDPE? Is it PP? Is it PET? They don't know. It's unfair to put that onus on the consumer. we've made the decision. The brand has made the decision to use the plastic we have. The authorities should help them then recycle that. It's got so bad that what we've actually done is we've sent bags, actually they're biodegradable bags, to all our trade partners. So every independent health store will receive one of these bags and can get a bag from us. And if a consumer doesn't know what to do with their spray, their plastic, take it back to the shop when they buy a new one. And the shop will send it back to us and we will recycle it for you. But we shouldn't have to do that, but we're happy to do so. But at some point, I think the government or the authorities need to step up. There's some countries do a very, very good job, and I think the UK needs to up its game.
Yeah, it can be very confusing, especially as every area is so different.
Yeah.
You can understand why people wouldn't know where to start sometimes.
Absolutely. And there's some people say, oh no, you can't mix this with that, and technology now is amazing, and recycling plants, they have digital sensors to check. I mean, we can look at plastic by polymer to know what type of plastic it is and how it can be grouped to be recycled. Polystyrene, I used to be told, can't be recycled. It can. It's recycled to make more polystyrene. No. Foil can't be recycled. It can. Yes, if it's less stretchy, it's difficult to do so, but it can be recycled into more foil. So we can do this, but I think there just needs to be better education. In the meantime, we're happy to take the plastic, but yeah, it should be better.
Yeah, that's great that you can take it back though. If somebody's got one of your plant-based bottles, can they typically be recycled at home, or does that vary a lot as well?
No, all our plastic, whether it be plant-based or whether it be ocean waste, can all be recycled in your normal household recycling bin. So that can all be taken away. It doesn't really matter at a polymer level. It doesn't really matter whether that plastic has come from the ocean and has been recycled from that plastic, or whether it's been grown as sugarcane. At a polymer level, polypropylene is polypropylene. So it can all be recycled. We made sure of that. If it's, for example, compostable, that's a slightly different matter. A compostable plastic does need to be composted in a compost bin. There are plenty of those, and everybody really should have one. Very, very useful. But yeah, that needs to be composted. But none of our packaging is compostable. It can all be recycled in normal household recycling bins.
Great. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on, or was kind of more about why World Ocean Day in particular you wanted to talk? Or
well, World Ocean Day I think is a fantastic day because of the challenge that we've set ourselves for the oceans and for looking after 30% by 2030. But it's the awareness, as I say, the BetterYou, Better Planet project started off life when I became aware of the severity and the size of the problem. I always had a suspicion of the size of the problem. We always talk about it, but to have it there on my TV screen, suddenly it had a voice, it had a face, it had a name, and you could ignore it no longer. So I think these days, and the role you guys play in promoting them and giving us the debate, giving me the airtime to talk about it, is invaluable. The more we talk about this, the more we are either shamed into action or excited into action. And everybody can make a difference. Everybody can think twice about throwing that piece of plastic or paper or whatever away. Everybody can think twice about the types of products they choose. And everybody can think twice about helping these societies and these charities and doing some good work.
That's great. I think that was everything. If there's anything you'd like to add, that's been really interesting.
No, I don't think so. There's obviously a lot of information on our website. And if anybody does have a question about the Better Planet project, about our products, about anything, give us a call. We're more than happy to talk to anybody via email or on the telephone. We love it. And to be perfectly honest, a lot of our innovations, a lot of the ways that we develop our products and move forward often comes from consumers telling us have you ever thought about this? You think, oh, it's genius. Yeah, why not? It just as a slight finish, you know, the predominance of our products are either oral sprays or transdermal magnesium. And the transdermal magnesium idea actually came from a genius biochemist called Juan Rosello, who I met in America all those years ago. And he's instrumental in me launching the company, to be perfectly honest. But our oral sprays, they started life in a discussion with a gentleman called Charles Hurd, who's head of pharmacy and pharmacology at Cardiff University. And I was going to do an oil-based capsule for vitamin D, and he said, have you ever thought about an oral spray? I said, no. And so he tested it for me, or his master's students tested the absorption, and found it was well absorbed through the buccal membranes. So all these things, all these innovations come at some point from a conversation like this, you know, and raising these days and raising these issues, the solution will come.
That's great. Thank you. It's nice to see, you know, companies willing, like yourself, to be more transparent and to ask those questions and answer them and really look into it. It's great.
No, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Ellen. Excellent. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hi, so thank you for everybody who watched. If you've got any more questions, we're going to post this to our TV channel now. And I'm also going to be going live at 4 p.m. and at 6 p.m. today for World Oceans Day, and also again on Thursday. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye.